James, right? Okay, and then here's Danger Banger, so I laid the other one over there for you. Okay, sweetheart.
Yeah, oh yeah, there you go. Good.
Okay. Thank you, sir. It's good to see you this morning. It's already hot and sultry out there, but at least we come inside and be cool. I wanted to tell you a couple of things, and whoever has the announcements can do it also, but we've been praying for Richard Brandon, a friend of Lance's and mine and Debbie's. He's an elder in the Church of Fresno, and I spent some time with him 2 or 3 different times out there in California. Great guy. And he had cancer, been on our prayer list, and it looked pretty bleak. So Lance called me this morning, and Richard went to the doctor and had I think he said a PET scan. I don't know what those things are called, but whatever. There's no cancer. It's gone.
Praise
Amen.
God.
Amen.
I think God is so powerful. It just amazes me. Richard is a tremendous guy, just a wonderful guy, a great family, and so I wanted to share that with you. And whoever has announcements can share it also, because it's when you hear things like that, it just solidifies your confidence and faith, and our God is a wonderful God, a great God. We're gonna be in chapter 5 in the book of James, but I want to back up just a little bit, and because a couple of things that I didn't cover before that I just saw this morning, and in James 4 and 15, James makes a statement. He says, instead, well, let's talk about not boasting about tomorrow. And he said, instead of saying, I'll go and do this tomorrow, he said, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we shall live and do this or that. And I fully agree with that. But, I've known people before that everything that they say, if the Lord wills, if the Lord wills, if the Lord wills, and I don't think that's really what God was wanting us to think. He just doesn't want us to be self-assured. He wants us to trust in God and believe that God is in control, and that our plans, whether we say it or not, our plans should be formulated with the idea that God is the one that's going to take care of that. It's His will, not our will. And he also talks about boasting in arrogance. And I think what he's saying there is pointing out those who are being hypocritical. Every time I see a post from a movie star condemning the president or something like that, and I've done it before, probably not right, but I post on there that I really have a little confidence in someone who's making a living acting like they're somebody they're not, and that's kind of the way I feel about it. But we shouldn't do that either. We shouldn't boast in arrogance. We ought to realize that God is the one that's in control. And then he also talks about the sin of omission. And I used to hear a lot about the sin of omission. A lot of sermons preached on sins of omission. But what he said was, if you know that there's something good to do and you don't do it, then it's a sin. And I think that's exactly right. There was a lady that lived in that was a member of our congregation years ago, and she was always looking for something that needed to be done for others. And that was a great attribute. The only problem was I got kind of tired of having to do it, but one time she came in, and there was this family in town, and it was a great family, precious family. The man and the woman were both up in years, and they adopted a girl. Both the husband and wife. He worked for the city, but he was illiterate. And this girl that they adopted she was just a precious young lady. And so the lady in our congregation, she said their house needs to be painted. Well, in most cases, you'd think, well, if it needs to be painted, then get someone to paint it. They were very poor, and he wasn't really capable of doing anything like that. So every time that this lady's name was Joyce. Every time that Joyce would find something like that, she'd say, that needs to be done. Well, the way I interpreted it was, you need to do it. Well, this time, bless their hearts, the congregation pitched in there, and we painted that little wooden frame house in a day, and those people couldn't have been more happy. They were thrilled to death. And I thought about that. I thought, what if I had said, no, I don't want to. I don't like to paint. And so we meant to do it. We had to do it. Well, you know, one of the rewards that you get from things like that are seeing things that happen. And that young lady, her name was Ellen, their daughter. She graduated from high school a year or so later as valedictorian at the Graham High School. And I thought, you know, God is so good. Well, going on in James chapter 5, James starts addressing the rich. And, you know, every time I see a post from someone advocating that the rich need to give up their money, I thought, well, maybe you need to work. Maybe that's your problem, you know. I have no use whatsoever for socialism. It hasn't worked in any country it's been tried in. The way that I learned to work was the fact that if I didn't do that, I wasn't going to have anything, even as a child. And so when James addresses the rich, the commentators say that even though it's the rich that are directly addressed here, it's likely that they weren't Christians. And so, you know, there's some reasons for that assumption, and I thought this was interesting. He said, come now, you rich, weep and howl for your miseries that are coming upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and your silver are corroded, and their corrosion will be a witness against you and will eat your flesh like fire. And so, James is not saying that it's a sin for people to have been successful financially. That's not what he's saying. And we should never think that. I abhor any kind of comments about, well, you know, they need to give their money away. They need to give their money to me or what. No, they made it. It's theirs and it should belong to them. But the reason why that we say, good morning.
Morning.
How are you, sir? It's all right. Good to see you.